Are we rolling? Oh god, I'm finally doing this. Hello. This is my When We Were Young Sunday. Thank God it was Sunday. Sunday vlog. I guess we'll start from the beginning. Just like everyone else, I got my tickets back in January. Today is the day. It is the standby line for the front gate ticket site. I am stressed. I'm gonna be a wreck until this is over. If you can hear me, please help me get these tickets. I hope I don't throw up. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should refresh it or not. I don't know what to do. My poor little heart cannot do this. I'm so stressed. Wait, did it? Oh, every time it refreshes, guys, an angel gets its wings. Poppy, please hear me. This is how you pray to the Italians. Shit, what the fuck is happening? This is all I've seen. Meatloaf died? Can Meatloaf help us in this time of need? Spirit of Meatloaf, give me strength. Guys, what if this is ours? I'm gonna shit myself. Wait, oh fuck. Is Paramore really as big as MCR? This is my life. Mine has still not gone through. My friend's has, so she's trying to get them for me. Apparently Saturday is completely sold out already, and they added in a Sunday date. She was able to get me one. I can't believe this is happening. This is not what I thought my mid-20s would be. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a real thing because people were like breaking it down, trying to see if like logistically it even made sense. So everyone was calling it the Emo Fire Fest. Fast forward, you know, it pretty much seemed like things were going to be fine. I get on my plane on Saturday morning. So while I'm up in the air, I get a push notification from When We Were Young that says like, due to wind today, today's show has been canceled. First and foremost, what happened in the middle of my flight? I get a push notification from When We Were Young that says, today's show has been canceled. And at first I'm like, I think this is a joke that they're pulling on us. Cause you know, When We Were Young has been like putting up all the memes and whatever, like, and then I clicked it and it was like for real. And I go on Instagram and they're like, they have this whole like blurb up. It says like, due to wind, today's festival has been canceled. And I was like, holy shit, like it's happening. Everyone said this was gonna be a shit show. Already, like we're off to a terrible start. I am going to tomorrow's show and not today's, but I can't imagine if I was going to today's. Like I don't know if I'd be more sad or pissed if I were one of those people. And I guess, you know, I could still be one of those people because we don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. It is definitely quite windy. I can hear the wind. I don't really see it and I don't really feel it when I go outside, but I said that when I got into my Lyft. I told my Lyft driver, I was like, it doesn't seem very windy. And she kind of laughed at me. She was like, look at the sky. The sky is brown. And I did look up and the sky was indeed brown. My other two friends that are coming with me are on a different flight, so they'll be here in a few hours. So I'm just kind of chilling in the hotel room for now. I'm very hungry. I am afraid of all the drunk people downstairs, but I'm going to venture down there. I really want to check out the fitness center, see what they have, because I'm going to have to work out at least one day of this trip. And I need to see what kind of equipment they have, but there's almost definitely not a squat rack. So I'm gonna have to modify things and figure out what I'll be able to do. Leading up to it, this festival was getting like so much hate just because no one really believed that it would be real. Then the fact that something like this happens, I do think it's good that they put everyone's safety first, and I stand by their decision now, but at the time, like, I just felt like it was not gonna look good for them. It seems like it was probably a good call because when I did get to my hotel, I could hear the wind pretty loudly through the window. So I think it was some pretty decently strong wind, even though it didn't seem like it when I was outside. But it was probably a good call. The night that I got in, I was waiting on my friends. Their flight actually got delayed a few times, and I decided to go to the buffet because I eat a lot. And honestly, the best deal for me is to go to the buffet because if I was to order the amount of food that I eat at a normal place, it would cost me so much money. Anyways, long story short, the people next to me were like, oh, did you have tickets to today or tomorrow? Or I think they just literally went today or tomorrow. And I was like, oh, tomorrow. And they were like, today. I didn't even know what to say. And like, I kept seeing people like rolling out with their suitcase being like, I guess I go home now. That just sucks. For me, this trip was such an investment. Like, I cannot stress enough how expensive this trip was. This trip cost me over $1,000, well over it. It was not cheap. And if I had spent all that only for it to get canceled, like, I would be crushed. Not only because it's something that I'd so looked forward to, but because for me it was a lot of money. That's not an expense that I could just eat up. And I can't imagine like if I had come all the way out there and I was like some kid in high school and had saved up all this money to come and then I didn't get to see the bands that I love. Like, that sucks. I have so many feelings about it. I do think in the end it was the right call for safety reasons, because if something had happened where like equipment fell on people or something like that, that would have been really, really, really bad. But I'd be so upset. And like, thank God we worked fast enough in line to get tickets to Saturday and got tickets to Sunday instead. Like, who knew that would be such a blessing? That night, I basically went to bed really early because I was exhausted. And I knew that the next day would be really, really long. So I went to bed pretty early, and while I was in bed, my two other people that I was going to the festival with arrived. The nice thing was we were staying at the Circus Hotel, which is right next to the fairgrounds. So basically you go out like the back entrance of the hotel, and the line had already basically formed there, like right outside the hotel. I would highly recommend staying there unless you're like picky about going to like really nice fancy hotels. It's a fine hotel, but if you're looking for something that's like really, really nice, maybe don't. But I didn't really care. I wanted something that was just clean and like very accessible to get to the festival and affordable. And it like ticked all those boxes for me. It was actually probably better than I had been expecting. Anyway, so we went outside and we were kind of late with getting ready. So there was already a pretty huge line.
Okay, we're walking from our hotel to get at the end of the line, which is like 7 miles long. So it's the emo migration.
It wrapped around and around and around. I feel like we were out there around 11 a.m. Maybe a little bit. Maybe it was like 11:30. It took us probably 10-15 minutes of walking to find the end of the line.
Oh my god, did we make it? It's the end! Here we are. Look at our happy little faces.
Here somewhere. At a certain point, it started moving a lot faster. They must have just started letting people in, essentially. But then when I looked behind me, like, the line had gotten so much longer. Like, I thought it was long when I got to the end of the line, but it wrapped all the way around. While we were waiting in line, all of a sudden, we see Bert walk by. Just casually walk by the line, doesn't say anything. And all of a sudden, like, my friend Nina is like, is that Bert? And I look over, and it is Bert McCracken just casually walking by the line. Nina said hi, and then I said hi in like that tiny high-pitched voice that you make, of course. Like, hi Bert. Hi Bert. I know he said hi back to Nina, but I don't know if he said hi back to me. But he was kind, you know, he just like was like cool, you know, walk by. And like nobody else was freaking out.
You guys, Bert McCracken and the U's just walked past us in line. And no one was freaking out about it. Except for us.
Nobody else was freaking out that Bert McCracken just walked on by. So that was honestly like one of the highlights of the entire trip for me. But then there was an issue with like people were cutting the line basically because at a certain point in the line, like when it got right in front of the fairgrounds, it just kind of became a mass and there was no longer a line. You just kind of walked in. So people were really just kind of walking in and people were getting pissed off about it. Honestly, I was like, whatever, let's just get in and have a great time. Yeah! So we get in, we take our pictures with the sign or whatever, and just like everyone's doing. We actually come in and someone from the When We Were Young, like TikTok or like social media team approaches us and they're like, can we ask you some questions for our TikTok? And of course, like, I'm terrible being put on the spot. They asked like, oh, who is your like pop punk crush? And I totally overthink it, but this is what's going through my head. This festival isn't really pop punk, so do they mean like someone that's purely a pop punk icon, or do they mean someone playing at this festival? I'm assuming they wanted to be related to the festival, but in my mind I'm like, well, pop punk is more like how it's gonna be next year, where this year is more emo. And so I'm like, basically my answer comes out as like, I don't know.
I guess Gerard, but he's not really pop punk.
I don't consider them a pop punk band. So I thought it was just kind of a weird question. So long story short, the TikTok did go up on their page, but I was the only one cut out of it. Whatever, story of my life. So then we head in. I had initially wanted to see Wolf Alice first, but we had already kind of missed their set. But I didn't have anyone that I wanted to see between Wolf Alice and Pierce the Veil. But my friends had a few that they wanted to see, and I figured, you know, I'd rather kind of stick with them. We saw Mayday Parade first. They were both like huge Mayday Parade fans, and I know, like, you know, the big ones. So there's all these videos that my friend Nina took where they're both like singing, and I'm just there like, and Michael Myers is behind me randomly. I think after that we decided to get food. Before we got food, we went to one of like the stands that had like drinks and stuff like that. And something that I had really been looking forward to was the exclusive can of Ghost Energy. I really love Ghost products. I buy like so many of their supplements, and I love their energy drink. I loved that they were doing a can for when we were young. I thought that was kind of like a weird crossover of things that I like. I wish they had done like an exclusive flavor. It was just the orange cream that they already do, but in a cool can. So I got one of those. I was really excited. I didn't find the Ghost tent. I wish I had. I saw later in the day some people had like Ghost sunglasses. I wish I'd gone. Just didn't get the chance. I mean, I think something I can't stress enough was how massive the fairgrounds were. When they sent out the map and stuff of the fairgrounds, I knew it would be big, but it does not at all give you a sense of how big it is. So like the stripe stage and like the pink and black stages, you can't tell just how far away they are from each other, especially with how packed it was. It would take you some time to get from one end to the next. Anyways, so I didn't get to do that, but I got the can, I got a picture, I still have the can, I can go grab it. I actually put some like spooky flowers in it, it's kind of cute. Ta-da! This was the ghost can that I got, but this is it. Guys, Halloween is over and I'm like not recovering, so that now lives on one of my shelves. Basically, towards the front entrance of the festival was all the different like food carts. Some of them had really long lines and some had no line at all. If you wanted like noodles, you were gonna wait a long time. If you wanted a taco, good luck, you were waiting a really long time. I got like a rice and shrimp bowl because I wanted something relatively healthy. Of course, everything there cost like at least $20, so I got this like teeny tiny shrimp bowl. It was actually quite good, but very overpriced, of course. Something I realized probably around this point, maybe earlier, was that no one had service. No one. I was kind of realizing this would probably be an issue, but I didn't fully digest it as well as I should have, and what the consequences of having no service would be. So after we ate, we went to see 303, which was fun. In the middle of 303's set, I decided like then was a good time for me to get a drink. I hadn't gotten a drink yet. There was a stand right there by that stage, and there was no one at it. So I was like, okay, I'll go get a quick drink. I know where my friends are. I'll easily be able to come right back and just like hang out with them. So I go up to the counter. I get like some overpriced like $18 seltzer. So I get that and I go back into the crowd. And I think part of the issue is like, because everyone was wearing emo festival outfit, it was kind of hard to find your people. So where I thought my friends were, obviously they weren't. I could not find them. I walked from one end of the stage to the other 4 or 5 times in the general area that I thought my friends were in, and I could not find them. And this is where the no service comes into the picture. You couldn't get a single message through, so I couldn't find them, and I was basically separated from them. Every once in a while you could get like a message through. I was kind of like, what do I do now? Right after 303 was Pierce the Veil. And I knew we all wanted to go see Pierce the Veil, so I was like, okay, I guess I'll just head to their set now, and hopefully I will find them in that crowd. Which I don't know why I was that optimistic, but I was. Initially, I started on the black stage side, which is where they were playing, but I couldn't figure out. I was like, would they have gone to that side? Would they have gone to the other side? So there was like these big towers that had like the cameras that would project the video onto the big screens that they had. So I was by one of those, and I eventually was able to get a message through that I was next to one of those, and they were also next to one, but I didn't know if it was the same one, and I didn't know which side they were on. Very confusing. I'm like listening to Pierce the Veil, all excited, but also panicking because I'm like, where are my friends? I cannot find them. Will we ever be reunited? It's sad because I didn't get to fully enjoy the set as much as I would have, because I was freaking out so much trying to find my friends, and I was like not fully absorbed. I had been really excited to see Pierce the Veil. I don't think I had ever seen them before. I might have seen them at Warped Tour a long time ago, and if I wasn't a fan at the time. I don't really have strong memories of it, but I don't think I had ever seen them live. Since then, I've become like a really big Pierce the Veil fan, so I was really excited to finally see them. I had been hoping, and I think it was pretty much inevitable, something I always dreamed of was that I would get to see King for a Day with Kellen Quinn. When I saw Kellen Quinn step on that stage, I freaked out, just like I think most people did. I wish I had had a better vantage point. So because I had been kind of like walking all around trying to find my friends, initially I was on the black stage side. By the time that they played King for a Day, I had walked to the other side, and I'm short, and there's like that big white pole thing, so I didn't have a great vantage point, and all of my footage is like pretty shitty from that entire set because of that. But I was still like psyched out of my mind getting to see Kellen Quinn perform King for a Day with them. Like, I still cannot believe I got to see that, even though my vantage point was not the best. But I started noticing at that point there were definitely some audio issues going on, because I could barely hear Kellen. His vocals were so much lower, but this would appear to be a reoccurring theme for the show. The other reason that I had made my way to Pink Stage from Black Stage was because I knew we were all wanting to see The Used afterwards. The Used is like probably one of my top 3 bands, and I have never seen them live. I don't know why, I just never have. I was very excited to see them. Because I knew we were all like pretty big fans of theirs, I was like, okay, maybe they're going to be pushing to the front. So I pushed closer to, not to the front, but like closer forward for their set. Did not find them, but had a great time. Hung out with another girl who had also lost her friends, which would also be a recurring theme. You would find that everyone you talked to had also been separated and also didn't have service. The interesting thing is, I am fairly certain the festival jammed service, because any notifications from the When We Were Young app or from the When We Were Young Twitter came through perfectly fine. But anything else did not go through. So I'm fairly certain they jammed the service. I'm not sure if that's something they have to do for things like this in order to make sure the tech runs okay. I hope next year they don't do that. It made things kind of a nightmare. I would have had a substantially better time if I had had service and I was able to, go between sets and hang out with my friends so they could see who they wanted, I could see who I wanted, and we didn't have to worry about never finding each other again. Regardless, saw The Used. It was great. Like, I'm still trying to find my friends, so I'm like there the whole time, once again, like trying to find my friends in this mass of people, but also like having a great time listening to The Used. So after that, there wasn't anyone I wanted to see again until Avril. So I decided then to try to get some merch. If I remember correctly, there were 3 different merch booths. There was like the main merch booth for When We Were Young. There was like the satellite merch booth for When We Were Young. And then there was the artist merch tent. I went to the satellite one. We had walked by the artist one earlier. That one was by far the longest line. I went to the satellite one thinking, oh, it's the smaller one, maybe it'll be a shorter wait, and I had already like walked by it earlier. I knew what I wanted. There was only one thing I wanted. It was the sweatshirt with the bat on it, because it was perfect for me. I love bats. I loved the aesthetic of it. It had all the bands on the back. It had everything I wanted. I was like, cool, just want this one thing, shouldn't take too long. I can't speak for the other lines because I didn't attempt them, but at least for this one, there was no line. It was just a giant mass of people. Nothing was coordinated about this. People would just walk in from either side, kind of push their way through as much as they can, and then you were just kind of stuck in whatever position you managed to get to. So I kind of pushed my way to like the middle back, I guess I would say, because I realized that the sides were way longer than the middle. And when I tell you that every single time we took one step, everyone cheered, I am not exaggerating. And that one step probably happened once every 10-15 minutes, something like that. We all kept trying to like look and see how many people were working at the merch booth, and at one point it looked like there were only about 2 people working it, and that I think was part of the issue. I think at some point they did bring out more people because then the line started moving a lot faster, and there was also like a couple security people at the front who kind of like point you to a register or whatever when you got to the front. After I think about an hour and a half, I got to the register. I got up there, told the guy what I wanted, and he literally said to me that was the fastest transaction of the day. I knew what I wanted. I think people get up there, go, there's this, I like that one. What do I want to get this one? That's all well and good, but like, could you have done that for the last hour and a half that you were waiting in line? Just a thought. I got my sweatshirt. One good thing that me and my friends did do was we had made a plan that if we did get separated, we would meet at the bathrooms by checker stage at 6 p.m. However, I was still in line at 6 p.m. I did manage to get a couple of messages through being like, I'm still in line, please wait for me. Like, got my sweatshirt, I run to the bathroom. So you have to understand, so the bathrooms are here and the merch stand is here. The line would be like behind my hand here, and then the bathrooms are here. So I ran from the front here to the bathrooms. There was a huge line for the bathrooms. I had gotten a message from them saying like, we're going in now. So I just kind of like peek in, I try to see. This kind girl in front of me was like, are you in line? Or I was like, no, I'm just looking for my friends, but also I do have to pee. And she was like, just go in front of me. Thank you so much, whoever you were. I think you were very drunk, but I still appreciate it. I went in and the bathroom is like this long hallway. So I look around and I'm like, I don't see them. I pee, whatever. And then I realized that there is another entrance on the other side. Oh God. Which one are they at? And how do I coordinate finding them? I walk out the other side and I look all around. I don't see them. So I feel like we were probably going back and forth and like just kept missing each other. After a while of me going between the two ends of the bathroom, I do eventually find them. And we like hug each other and we cry because I was like honestly not sure that I would get to see them. It was really important to me to see this show, especially with my friend Nina, because we were best friends in middle school. We found out that we both loved Avril and we both loved MCR, and we became best friends over that. We had a falling out in high school, but we reconnected a couple of years ago, so going to this together was like something very, very, very special for me. All 3 of us finally back together. At this point, it's dark out and it's actually kind of chilly, and we push our way through the crowds around Black Stage, and Taking Back Sunday is playing. I had wanted to see Taking Back Sunday's set, but in this madness of me trying to find them and stuff, like that was not the priority. But we did get to see the tail end of it, and they were good. I'd never seen them. Actually, that's not true. I had seen them live. It was either Blink's reunion tour or the Honda Civic tour. I don't remember which one it was that they were on, but it was one of those. So we caught the tail end of that, and we were like, we had pushed our way like decently through the crowd. We had gotten to like an okay spot. So after them was Saves the Day, right? I don't know them at all. They'll come up on my Spotify every once in a while. They were good. They actually, like, I didn't really know their music, but they put on a really good show, and I really appreciated their set, and they were, like, cool. They seemed to be cool guys. Either during or just before, I don't remember. We managed to push ourselves all the way to the barricade. I don't know if my biggest beef of the day was the no service or this. So if you looked at like the map of what was supposed to be like regular GA and what was VIP, GA plus, whatever, initially, like, you know, the whole front was VIP, and then everyone complained and they made it so like half of it was VIP, and then like there was an area where you could kind of work your way in. I think that was true for most of the day, but I think at a certain point they changed it. The whole front was barricaded off. So unless you were VIP, you were pretty far back. We were at the barricade and we were still pretty far back. It was still a great vantage point, and I am forever grateful that we made it there, but it did suck. At one point, the whole crowd just started chanting "fuck VIP" because it was just really shitty. And also, no one in VIP looked like they were having a good time. Half of them were sitting on the ground. I don't know if they were just all like industry people who just like had to be there, or just like rich people who did not care. There was such a huge gap, like the back of GA where there was just no people, and then once you hit the barricade where we were, all the way back, there were no gaps. I couldn't even like move my arms. And I think the reason why that upset me the most was I knew that the bands could probably only see them. And so they're like, what's up with these shitty fucking crowd? But it was just that the VIP section was honestly really shitty. I'm sure there were great people in there. If you were in there, I'm sorry. But the vast majority of the people, because I could see them because they were all in front of me, were just kind of there. So that was infuriating. But it was what it was. We got to the barricade. Probably one of the most anticipated sets for me, because me and my friend Nina had been such huge fans of Avril, but it was really special because we had had this experience growing up loving Avril. Neither of us had ever seen her live, even though we loved her. So this was like the moment we were gonna see her. She starts playing like the Bad Reputation music, and there's like this compilation video. It's really, really cool actually, and it felt like very throwbacky because it was all, you know, from her music videos and stuff like that. And then she comes out and she does Girlfriend, and it was really cool because during her set, it was just like we were surrounded by a bunch of other women who were having a great time listening to Avril and like feeling really nostalgic, and it just felt really special. We sang along. At that point in the night, we had no voice left. So if you watch the videos of us singing along, pretty horrendous, but also amazing.
Damn cold night. Take me by the hand, take me somewhere new.
So then at some point, she does her song with Mod Sun, and that's fine.
He looks like a YouTuber.
I'm not a Mod Sun fan, but like it was kind of cool. She brings out her husband, they do a song together. It's kind of cute. But then she brings out Alex Gaskarth. Why? I mean, I'm already still so confused that they're on the lineup for next year. Why did we bring them out? And why? I love Blink, but you're Avril fucking Lavigne. You don't need to bring out someone from All Time Low and then cover a Blink-182 song. So she wasted 2 songs of her set on songs that weren't even hers. It put a bad taste in my mouth, and I was not happy about it. I know a lot of people were not happy about it. I'm still pretty ticked off about it, to be honest. I don't think it was her fault, so I'm not upset with her. I'm sure it was like a promotional thing. I don't know. But it wasn't a good move, and I wasn't a fan. I loved singing a Blink song, but we'll do that next year. And then also, during Avril's set, like, continuously, she keeps talking about how she cannot hear herself at all. So I think the in-ears were just broken. Her vocals were still so good. I was pretty impressed by that. But the fact that there were all these technical issues. After Avril, it was Bright Eyes. Oh god, what can I say about Bright Eyes? So I'd actually seen Bright Eyes before, I believe, over the summer, and they actually put on a really good show. I'd never seen them before. I like know some Bright Eyes songs, but I'm not like a Bright Eyes fan. And it's funny because at that show that I saw, people were like, oh wow, we got him on a really good day. And I was like, what does that mean? Well, we figured out what that meant that night. Conor Oberst was having a time.
The second Iraq War, when they lied about it, even the New York Times fell for it. They still did all their bullshit and they killed like hundreds of thousands.
He was definitely on some sort of substances and kept going off about things that didn't really make sense. He was talking about like seeing buildings that weren't real. I'm here for like weird banter, but also I'm thinking like each band only gets like what, what, 20-25 minutes, something like that. And he just would talk and talk and talk and talk about nothing, basically. It also was clear that this was just not a Bright Eyes crowd. I don't think they really made sense in the lineup, and it seemed like no one really knew what was happening. I'm sure there were Bright Eyes fans in the crowd, but they were not plentiful. And Connor was kind of getting that sense. I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't. And he kept making like comments about like, you guys don't know who we are. Eventually he like ran out of time and had to cut a song, and he was kind of like joked that like he was almost like doing a favor for us, I think.
Alright, I was just told we had 3 more songs on our 40-minute set, but we only got time for 2. So we're gonna skip one for you.
I believe he like threw a guitar or something too. Maybe I made that up, but he was just a fucking mess. That was rough. It was still a good set, but it was rocky. Then after them was Bring Me the Horizon, which I was really excited for. I had seen them about a month earlier on their tour, and it had been like a really, really awesome show. I hadn't seen them since Warped Tour, so it had been quite a long time. Put on a great show, the visuals were great, and then like sure enough for this show they did like very similar visuals where like in the beginning there's like this like AI thing that's really cool and interacts.
Initializing. Can you feel my heart?
By far, Bring Me the Horizon had the best production of the entire festival. Those visuals that they had up on their screens that like went up for the different songs, so they like varied between every song, and they were all like very cool looking and very unique. And also Ollie's outfit was, I like want that outfit. He looked amazing. That was, I believe, the first point in the night where a set was stopped because someone was either hurt or had to get out of the crowd. I couldn't really see what was happening. It was right behind me. They got out like the EMT personnel and things like that, and they had to pull someone out, I believe.
Everyone all right back there?
What's happening?
Number 12?
I don't know.
Yep. Right then. Sorry about that. Let's
Because you're so squished, your vantage point is basically this. And so I didn't really see what happened. But it was really cool that the bands were like stopping and making sure that everyone was okay. And then they finished out their set. It was awesome. Oh, also like Ollie went out into the crowd and just like hugged people and said hi, and like, it was just very, very, very sweet. Yeah, it was just really heartwarming, and it did seem actually pretty genuine. So after Bring Me the Horizon was Paramore. And also something you have to understand about this show, the song would end on Black Stage and it would start on Pink. Like there was no gap. Like the fact that they were able to pull that off, I think was pretty incredible. So next was Paramore. Both of my friends were huge Paramore fans. I feel like I'm the only person in the world that is not a Paramore fan. It's not that I dislike them, I just have never gotten into their music. And I remember back in the day there was like some beef where like the rest of the bandmates left and like said that Haley was like really controlling, and that her dad was like trying to make her a star and didn't care about anyone else. And I remember at the time that left kind of a bad taste in my mouth regarding the band, because it seemed like the Haley show. But I don't know how accurate that was, or if they were just bitter or whatever, because it seems like Haley's pretty cool. So I never became a huge fan. They're another band where like I really don't know that many songs by them. But then Haley came out and she's wearing like this beautiful silver coat. I'll never get over her outfit. Her outfit was amazing. Then she comes out and she's singing. My friends were like, wait, she doesn't do this song. She refuses to do this song, but she's doing it. She's singing, is it called All I Wanted or All I Wanted Was You? See, this is where I get into trouble, and the Paramore fans are gonna be like, how dare you? But anyways, so she's singing it. The vocals are absolutely insane. I've never heard vocals like that. She just belted it. It was amazing. And I was like, at that point, I was like, oh yeah, I'm sold. I'm a Paramore fan. Like, it was so good. And apparently, her in-ears weren't even working either. So she's belting out this song and she can't even hear herself. How is she doing that? I don't know. I honestly had a really good time, and I didn't expect to have really good. I mean, I'd heard that they put on really good shows and that Haley was really cool, but like she ended up just being like so much more fun than I could have even imagined. She does all her like little dances, and like she's just so bubbly and fun. Like it made you smile. I had a newfound respect. I will definitely listen to them more now than I did before, but I still am just like, their sound is not my thing. And that's fine. I still think they're really awesome musicians. I think Haley is really cool. They're just not my thing. And that's fine. Then at a certain point in the set, Haley just kind of like sits down on the side of the stage. It felt just very like, let's hang out, guys. And she does this whole speech about the music scene.
This genre is made up of a lot of different genres, and I'll spare you the history lesson. No, I won't. Why would I do that? This started in the mid-'80s as something that had vision. It was started by some dudes that thought that punk rock should make more space for alternative people inside of alternative music. I think that it started off pretty well. You had Minor Threat, you had Fugazi, but we got lost along the way. And in the early 2000s, when Paramore came onto the scene, roughly about 2005, the scene was not always a safe place to be if you were different. If you were a young woman, if you were a person of color, if you were queer, and that's really fucked up if you think about it. Because this was supposed to be the safe place, wasn't it? We've been around for almost 20 years, and I've had my fill of letting older people, especially older men, tell me what punk rock is, and tell me what punk rock is not. Just today, there was a crusty old fuck on the internet. Yeah, you've probably seen him. Saying that punk was supposed to be anti-establishment. Well, it is. I can think of nothing more anti-establishment than young women, than people of color, and the queer community. So what I want to say to you, there is space for you here now. Did you hear me? There's space for you now. We all survived a lot to get to this night.
It was a really cool moment. It made me feel kind of emotional, to be honest, because the culture definitely has shifted in a positive way, but there is also still so much further to go. And it was just kind of a nice little reminder of that. The band that I was mostly there for should come as no surprise, as probably it was the same for most people. MCR is my favorite band in the world, has been my favorite band since I was in 6th grade, but I saw them at Barclays and I got to hear Desert Song, which I will never recover from. And then I saw them in Newark because I was like, I need to see the boys in Jersey. And then I saw them here. Everyone was getting these amazing outfits from Gerard for the whole tour. And then like for the Barclays show, we got just kind of like our regular ass outfit, which I had heard was the outfit that he wore on 9/11, but like I don't know if that's true. If it was, that's really cool. And then for Jersey show, originally I was supposed to go to the first night and not the second. If I had gone the first night, I would have gotten to see him as a bat, and that would have made my life. But no, I went the second night and he was like a casino gangster type person. So I was like, what is this outfit gonna be? I was like, it's gotta be something so cool. And then they come out and the first thing is that they're not playing Foundations of Decay, which they started every single set with on this tour, I believe. I don't think there are any that they didn't since the UK. But they start with I'm Not Okay. But the first thing I noticed is that they are all, not just Gerard, they are all in their revenge outfits. Something About Me, Revenge is my favorite album of all time. If I could have seen them in that era, I would die. And so in that moment, when I saw them in those outfits, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I get to see them in like revenge era. I was like, oh, this makes sense. It's when we were young. It's like a throwback. And then I'm looking more closely and I'm looking at Gerard and I'm like, what are these lines going on? Maybe we're just not used to seeing him older in these outfits. I'm like, wait, what is happening? And I was like, holy shit. He's old too. And then I look at Ray and his hair's all gray. And I look at Frank and then when I look at Frank, I burst out laughing so hard I could not contain. I couldn't look at Frank because if I looked at Frank, I would just fall apart. Frank, they were all old. Except for Mikey, who was like a vampire. And oh my God, Frank. It was so good, guys. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the best one. This is the greatest thing. And this girl behind me earlier in the night had been like, oh, I've never seen MCR before, and I've always wanted to see them. Like, they're one of my favorite bands. I'm so excited. And I was like, oh, yay, like, it's gonna be great. You're gonna have a great time. And she turns to me and she's like, oh my God, what happened to them? They aged so terribly. And I was like, no. And it made me wonder, though, if you're not as familiar with them, did you just think they had aged like that? So I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
How are you? How have you been? You ready to party? Do you want sex?
It was pretty standard for what they had played on like the rest of their tours, but I also heard like that was part of the joke, right? It was supposed to be like only the hits, and this was them in alternate reality where they sold out and they're doing this reunion tour and they're only playing the hits. But I wouldn't say that they only played the hits.
I may be the sinuous song, but the shit that I've done with this fuck I've done. I'm gonna stay so I'm this world. Oh, you just said my people are
And like Gerard throughout the whole show had like all these old man antics where he was like talking about like cheese. He had this little like hanky he would like carry around and blow into, and we would just go, make all these like gross old man sounds.
Come on, players, do it!
And I could not handle it. I was dying laughing. At some point in the night, I realized Frank's hair is gone. Like, I already couldn't with Frank. And when the hair was gone, I wish I had seen it fly off. If I had, I think I would have been on the floor. And I was like, what is happening? This is so good. How was I this fortunate that I got to witness this? And then they end it with Vampire Money, which I was excited for. Something you have to know about me, I'm one of those annoying people that really does not like Danger Days. But I had really been wanting to see Vampire Money, because if there is like one redeeming part of that album, is Vampire Money, and that's it for me. Especially during the UK tour, like they kept having that banter, especially between Frank and Gerard, where like every night they'd kind of do Vampire Money a little bit differently, and that's how they ended the show every night. So they started playing Vampire Money, and they're doing like their little like back and forth banter, but it is just all of these noises. Every time I rewatch the video, I just break down laughing because I can't handle the noise, especially when like Gerard does the noise and then like he does the noise again. I can't handle it. Then the fireworks start, and the fireworks are amazing, and they just keep going. The fireworks probably went on for like a solid 5 minutes. Like they just went and went and went and went. And it was just really cool, and it felt very special, especially like we had gotten up to the barricade. I just felt very thankful. And I think all of us just kind of like laughed and hugged each other. And so then we went back to the hotel. Thankfully, like one place was still open for food, but we all got like veggie burgers and fries and basically went to sleep. The rest of the Vegas trip, we just kind of chilled out. It was a good call that we ended up leaving on Tuesday, whereas I think most people left Monday. It was like pretty emptied out in the hotel. Also, something that was really cool about the hotel, and it was probably like that in most hotels that weekend, when I tell you that the entire hotel was emos, the entire hotel was emos. Very few and far between did you see like regular people staying at the hotel, and they must have been so confused. All of like these weird kids in like baggy pants and chains and colored hair are everywhere. Even when you just walked around Vegas, it was all you saw. And even like the day after the show, like everyone you saw had obviously been to the show. They're all like wearing their shirts and stuff if they were lucky enough to get one. And it was just like a really cool experience. We didn't even do like much of the Vegas stuff. We were pretty exhausted the next day. I think we were all just kind of like soaking it all in. I think it honestly, like, I didn't fully process that I was there and that I got to experience all that until after I was home. Even now, like, it's not totally real to me. I'm just so excited for next year, and I'm so glad that I got tickets to next year. Honestly, like, this year's lineup was the dream lineup for me, and next year's is still great and has a bunch of bands that I love. I would go for something corporate alone, like, I'm not gonna lie. I am very, very excited to go next year because I honestly had such a blast. And while there were, you know, some issues, I do worry about something happening next year again with like the wind or something like that. Next year we have, and that's the thing, is I think there were like kind of like themes. Like this year's lineup was very like emo focused, and next year's is very pop punk with the Green Days and the Blinks and things like that. And then like somehow like Pierce the Veil's also there again, and like kind of doesn't fit into the vibe. I'm here for it. It's like all I can talk about anymore is this show, yet like I had such a hard time articulating this. It's almost like this surreal experience in my mind. I'm just very, very, very thankful. Final thoughts. Was it really expensive? Yes. Was it worth it to me? It was. Honestly, it was one of the greater experiences of my life, and I will not soon forget it. I honestly can't say enough good things about it, especially, you know, leading up to it. We weren't even sure it was real or if it was going to happen. It went off pretty well. There were those few tech issues. There were the issues with service, which honestly was probably on purpose. There were a few snafus here and there, but all things considered, it went off pretty well. So yeah, those are my final thoughts. I hope any of this was interesting to anyone at all. I am probably the worst at doing things like this, but I do want to do more in the future, so please let me know if this was halfway decent. I know I need to work on my setup, but I kind of just like needed to try it out for the first time to see what this looks like. I don't even know what my channel is going to be called, but I am looking to make more content. So I hope that that was at all interesting or informative. If you have any questions for me, you can just ask, because I'll be here. And yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you. I hope you watch. Please watch. So maybe I should just like sit like this and be like